Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you will receive alerts when there are new episodes. Go get it.
That's what I tell them. I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go out and I go get it. How to code, that's all I know. I don't succeed, then I don't breathe. Success, what does it mean? If I conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles. Go take care of your business. Success Chronicles. It's deeper than just winning. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with another episode of the Success Chronicles. I am truly grateful to be here with my high school head basketball coach, Coach Bobby Carson, a great man. He's part of the reason why I decided to become a coach. I'm truly grateful. We're here in Marshall High School for his retirement. So I'm truly grateful to come here today to be with him, to show him some love. So, Coach, first, thanks so much for taking the time, and thanks so much for what you've done for us for over the years.
Well, I appreciate it. But I will say this, Chip, I learned as much from you guys in Hearn as I hope that you learned from me. It was a great 8 years, and I'm truly grateful for the time and for working with young men like you that have really shaped my career and where I am right now.
It's awesome, Coach. Well, let's dive into your journey. Let's talk about where you're from, how you grew up, kind of track your career journey up until now, if you don't mind.
Well, I grew up in Beaumont, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the son of a coach. My dad started off as an elementary school coach, moved up to junior high and to high school. And the funny thing is, he never left the block. All the three schools were right on the block. He never left the school district. 33 years in one school district.
Wow.
So that's pretty amazing. But he's the one I modeled myself after.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Dan Fogelberg song, leader of the band. One of the lines is, my life is just a poor excuse to imitate the man. I've been trying my whole career to live up to what my father could do. And he was a player's coach before they were players' coaches. I can just remember him with nothing and doing something with it. Especially we do Little League Baseball, they'd always give him the worst players, like, he's a coach, and then they could beat up on him, and we'd beat this professional coach, and we'd beat everybody because he would coach those little ragnots. He'd coach them up to where they thought they were Willie Mays and Hank Aaron, and it's just making them, and that's what I learned, is getting people to believe in themselves.
Yeah.
And then we're all capable of amazing things if we believe in ourselves, and we have people that believe in us as well.
Man, that's good. So true. And you're not, I can attest that, you're not just saying that, you live that. And it's awesome when we can have, just like you said, with your father, it's like that in my family, with my mother as well. Just by watching, I can see what it's supposed to be like. Yeah, of course, she had some demands and made me do some things, and that kind of was discipline. But just by watching, I could see what it's supposed to be like. And I'm thankful that you had that person in your life to watch so you could help us. But talk to us about your career. So we're out of college.
Okay, so I had I did play in college.
Mm-hmm.
I was the one that sat on the end of the bench next to the water bucket, and I played behind the guy who played behind the first team All-American. So I'm thinking, all right, he doesn't play much. I used to tell the girls, I seriously look down by the water bucket. I'm down there. So I'm thinking, all right, the first team All-American graduates. I'm thinking the guy in front of me is going to move up and be the starter. I'm going to be the second string. All right, I'm going to be away from the water bucket. They brought in these recruits that are better than everybody. And I can't spend my whole career down by the water bucket. So, but my first coaching job was at Raines High School in Emory.
Okay.
So, funny story. So the head coach there, and this is before cell phones and, but after the Pony Express. But he's asking me, so I need some references of former coaches. Chip, when I went back and looked, starting with my college coach, no one was still in coaching. I started playing competitive basketball in the fourth grade. There was not a single one still in coaching. So I told him, I said, I can't prove I ever played basketball, even in elementary school. But I got the job anyway. And so I'm 23 years old, and I'm a head basketball coach. And I'm telling you, I'm starting to think I'm somebody. So we're sitting in the coach's office, and Kyle Coker was the head coach. I said, Coach Coker, I said, man, how many people did I beat out for this job? And he said, Bobby, you were the only applicant we had. I went from 6'2" to 2'2", just like that. He said, no, he said, you won't have a junior or senior even go out for the team. They won 3 games last year and lost 21. I should have done my homework better. Yeah. But Kyle Coker is another big influence on my life, teaching me how to work with kids. And we ended up going 13-13 and, you know, tremendous improvement. And but I learned a lot from him. He was never raised his voice, just a steadying influence. Well, work by example. You know, Wednesday night we're out marking the football field. You know, back in the day you had to do that. And,
yes, sir.
Just tremendous. And I would have stayed, except that he left. And he advised me, said, I really think that, you know, he said, this is not a place that, you know, would not sound like I moved on. I moved down the road to Leonard and was there and enjoyed my year in Leonard. But my wife at the time got into graduate school at A&M. And like, we had to move. And that's how I ended up at Hearn.
I'm going to just say this, Coach. I'm glad that she went to graduate school, and I'm glad she ended up at Hearn. Okay, you can go ahead.
I mean, it was fortuitous. I mean, we went 18-8 my first year in Hearn, did not make the playoffs, and then the next 7 years we won district every year. And you know, we had the 55-game district winning streak and the Final Four appearance, and I always feel like we were like 7 feet away from having a chance to win it all. Of course, that 7 feet was named Shaquille O'Neal.
Yes, sir.
And they went undefeated that year, 35-0. But I think he was averaging like 44 a game, and he only scored 38 against us. I feel like we locked him up pretty good. I'm surprised he was able to be successful after that, after the way I think he was number 55. Or anyway, we had a 5'5" point guard, Roddy Dykes.
Yeah.
And so my 5'5" went up against their 5'5", and he said, Coach, all I saw was big numbers. You know, and there's a picture in the paper of this giant guy and little Rodney right there in the middle of his chest. And I thought we played him well. Yeah. But you know, it just was not meant to be. And I can remember thinking we only had to win like 4 games to get to the Final Four. Next year when we come back, of course, you know, all these years later, I've never been back. So I should have appreciated the ride. But we beat the number 2, the number 3, and the number 4 team in the state to get there. And I just, you know, I've been in the newspaper, the Houston Chronicle, twice. The first time when I said Shaquille O'Neal was just another player. That's because we had beaten a team that had a 6'10", and when Shaquille was a senior, he was a 6'10", 250-pound, 16-year-old senior in high school. Yeah. So I'm like, it's just another player. Well, I was wrong on that. And then I said the 3-point shot would never last, and so I was wrong about that too. So if I
two times in the Chronicle.
Yeah. So if I have an opinion about something, you need to go the opposite direction. But I'm like, man, I'm like all these great coaches saying, loving the 3-point shot, and here's this dude in Hearn saying, no, it'll never last. So anyhow, those are humbling experiences. You know, like you start running your mouth, and you're like, I just need to shut up and stay in the corner over there.
Stay in my lane.
Stay in my lane. But from Hearn, moved to Houston and spent 9 years at Channelview. And athletic director at Channelview, William Jennings, who's still the AD there, I always say he's the smartest man I ever worked for. I used to go in his office and just sit and just wait for the knowledge to just
soak it up.
Soak it up. I mean, he's from Arkansas. He's been around. He was a student of all sports. My first year there, he taught science across from me. So we spent a lot of time in the hall. And I should have been teaching history, just soaking it up. And just a true, I learned so much about coaching from him, and that I'm grateful. And but he's just truly the smartest man. And he'd say things like, don't walk by a trash can without you empty it. If you see it's full, you empty that trash can. Yeah. We had a Christmas tournament, and when the tournament was over with, he, in his, suit, he's out there mopping the floor, and like that's an example right there.
Yes,
so
sir.
Myself and the assistant coaches, we all got busy too, and when we left for Christmas, the gym would be spotless. Yeah. But I mean, he was never one to say, "Hey, go do this." I can remember coming up in the summer and seeing him with a machete out on the practice field replacing a sprinkler head. And this is the athletic director. We have a maintenance department,
Right.
but he was going to do it. Not wouldn't delegate something to somebody else. What I really liked about him, though, was if we were sitting in his office and it got to be lunchtime, he's, hey, let's go eat some Chinese food, and he'd pick up the tab.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
that's a team builder. But this is another opportunity informally to just soak up things.
Yeah.
And we had a book at the time that's called The Leaguer. It was all the UIL rules. I think it's online now. He passed them out my first year there, and he said there are 7 typos in The Leaguer. He said, I want each of you to have a paper with the 7 typos. So we're all real smart. Like, all right, we divide this all up into chapters. And we end up with like 57 typos. We're like, Coach, there's like 57. I know that. I just want to see if I get y'all to read some of it. So he tricked us into, but that was just the kind of stuff he could do. Like, man, he was one step ahead.
That's good.
Like everybody all the time. And I truly, the 9 years I was there were wonderful working with him. And it was like, you don't work for me, you work with me. And I always felt like that. Never talked down, and
good.
But that was a great experience. And I had moved outside of Houston to Huffman, and got hired there by Dougal McDougal. That's the real guy's name, Dougal McDougal. He's now the head coach at the New Caney School.
Oh, okay.
Great guy, big influence. I've never met somebody that loved kids so much as Coach McDougal. I mean, we had the breakfast club. Look at me, I'm not a big weightlifter, but before school we'd go and lift weights. And I'd get in there, be a part of the breakfast club, and just the camaraderie with the kids that would show up. And I can remember we had a kid named Curtis Crew, great running back, that had forgot his shoes. So Coach McDougal gave him his shoes and was out there at practice barefoot so that Curtis had some shoes. Now I know that's like a biblical, gave the guy his shoes. Who does that? I don't like my wife wearing my shoes. But Coach McDougal gave his shoes up to Curtis. And he, not just because Curtis, he'd have given his shoes to anybody. He's that kind of guy. And I was really glad to see that I kind of lost track of him. I don't like to talk on the telephone, as you know. We text.
We text.
But I don't know. Yeah. But I was really glad to see that he's still in coaching because he's such a special guy. My problem with Coach McDougal was he left. At the end of my first year there, he got hired at Kingwood. And Royce Houston was the basketball coach at Kingwood. He's, I think, in the Hall of Fame. So Carson was not going to get, Royce Houston was not going to get moved aside. So I stayed another year in Huffman for my kids, and it just did not work out. It was not a good spot. It's kind of Coach McDougal ran interference for some issues that showed up a little bit later. And so ended up moving to Kirbyville, got hired by Jack Alvarez, who is now the athletic director here, who is the best man I know. Legend. I'm not to take athletic director out of the equation. Jack is the best man I know.
Legend guy.
He is. I loved working for him, working with him. Excuse me. I mean, I can recall we started basketball, and he asked me, we're in the middle of football season. Of course, we're going to make a deep playoff run because Jack Alvarez is coaching.
That's what he does.
And that's what you do. So I said, well, I only got like 8 guys. He said, well, when JV practice is over with, I'm going to send them to the gym. So you got enough to practice with. Like, okay. So I had enough to practice with, and we made the deep playoff run. And basketball was a little bit rougher. And it's just not really a basketball community. I can remember my son was an 8th grader, and we had an open gym, and like 3 days in a row, he and I were the only ones that were there. And so I applied here and got the job, and just told Jack, I said, there's a bond, our paths will cross again. I really believe that. And several times before, I thought that things would work out, but I told Dr. Langley, the superintendent here, I said, Jack Alvarez will make MISD better the minute he walks in the door. Before he opens his mouth, when he walks in the door, this is a better place. And I honestly believe that. And, I was looking forward to having a chance to work with him. But fate intervened. Of course, I'm thinking, Jack's here, things gonna really start moving. Gonna coach for another 10 years, get me about 1,400 wins, get the Hall of Fame, write me a book, do a lecture tour, be on, with Kenny and Charles and Shaq on TV. I'll take
all of the plans.
Yeah, and then there's a Celtic proverb: if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans.
Mm-hmm.
And intervened in. I went to the emergency room for a cough on December the 13th, and today is May the 24th. I'm still not back at school. So I decided that the big man had other plans for me.
Yeah.
And but I did get to be with Jack for a semester, and some of that juju, I think, rubbed off on me. And if I have to, I've spent 17 years of my 40-year career here. Nut knock and Hearn, this is the best place I've ever been.
Yeah.
Both my kids graduated from here. Tremendous kids here, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn too much. I've had a couple opportunities to leave, and I'm thinking, I don't know if they can get somebody else that wants to come and work in predominantly a football-dominated school.
Yeah.
And I understood that. My daddy was a football coach.
Yep.
I understand football pays the bills.
Yep.
This is Texas.
Yep.
And when I came here, Earl Barrier told me, he said, you got to understand about East Texas football. I said, Earl, man.
I know.
I said, no, you don't understand East Texas football. And Chip, there's been state champions come out of this area every year I've been here, which I'm not knocking it. Dad was a football coach, and I understand. Yep. I have survived 40 years because I don't jack football. Yeah. I understand. Football's over with. Let's do basketball. But it's and I've never worked in 40 years with somebody that I thought was trying to kill basketball. I hear these awful stories, and sometimes I wonder if people don't project. But I've never, there's been different ways of doing things. But in 40 years, I've never had someone that I thought was actively trying to beat down the program. Mm-hmm. Maybe I've been blessed. And I always wonder when you ask them, say, how you doing, Dad? I've been blessed. I've been blessed. My whole life, I've wanted to be a high school basketball coach. I never wanted to be a college coach because I don't like travel. I never wanted to be a pro coach because I don't want to be on TV. This is all I've ever wanted to do. And maybe I didn't set my goals high enough, but this is the only thing I've ever wanted to do. So I have, from the time I was in junior high school, this is what I wanted to do. And I've been blessed to be able to do it 40 years. I'd like to have been able to do it more, but there's a poem to an athlete dying young that A.E. Houston wrote. And one of the lines in there is, today the road all runners come. And that means everything comes to an end. Now in the poem, the young athlete has passed away. Mm-hmm. And so even though this is the road that all runners come, and we know this, our careers will end, teaching careers, coaching careers, playing careers. I saw the other day that LeBron is toying with the idea of hanging it up, arguably the greatest of all time, but even his career, is going to end. Jordan's career ended. You don't have guys at 74 years old playing in the league. So at some point in time, he'll go make money doing something else. Yeah. So everything comes to an end, and this is my time to career end, and I still feel like I got a lot to offer. So I will find another niche to expend my energy. But as I look back, I wish, I guess we all do, that I knew as a 23-year-old head coach what I know now.
Yes,
because I thought I knew it all, and I didn't know squat. Yeah. And then when I realized I didn't know squat, then I started being a better coach. And I started going to, back then you go to clinics and buy 8-track tapes and watch successful coaches, and I always felt like if I have a friend, Dwayne Silver, that used to coach at Waco La Vega. Mm-hmm. We used to have to catch him in the playoffs.
Have some battles with them.
Yep. And he said, I go to clinics all the time. And he said, if I can learn one thing at a clinic, it's been worth my time. So I'm the world's biggest thief. If you say something I like, I'll steal it and make it my own.
That's good, Coach.
But I'm giving Dwayne credit for that. But I mean, we've been friends. Now he's been out coaching a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I said something to somebody the other day. So now, do you know Dwayne Silver? Oh, that's the guy that likes to write on napkins, right? I said, that's Dwayne right there.
Yeah.
So I've got a book of napkins that he's written on over the years that, I'll ask him a question. I'm like breaking the press. You start writing, usually someplace there's a napkin or something.
Wow.
So, but I mean, the people that have influenced me, and one of the things I've always heard is when you leave a place, leave it better than what it. I don't know about that. I know that when I left Hearn, I was a better man and a better coach for having been there. From Robert Davis, who hired me, took me under his wings, and we had our issues. Most of them were arrogance on my part that, and I hate it because he's a great guy and he was a great kid person. And I really, he and Tommy Dotson and Billy Ray, Jimmy Reeder, all influenced me, and that was a great place to be. But again, if I knew in Hearn what I know now, we might have been a little bit more successful. So
that would have been hard, but we were pretty dang successful.
I hate it now. Now at the end of my career, after 40 years, I'm actually starting to figure out how to be a coach.
There you go.
And it's over with. So, but there's not a greater. There's not a greater profession in the world.
Oh, it's amazing.
I don't knock classroom teachers, but we get a chance to spend so much more time in an informal situation, in a stressful situation. That I think we get a chance to maybe have a little bit, more of an effect on kids. And I've always would like to say, hey, when you graduated from high school, what teacher had the most effect on you? If it's not Coach Carson, if it's Pat Jones in the English class, I need to get my butt to Pat Jones's class and find out what she's teaching that I can steal from her to use to help you be a better player. And there's always, I used to watch Westerns all the time when I didn't sleep at night. I remember one, I think it was some guy was saying, there's always a faster gun. There's always a better coach out there. You're never going to be and I think that's what makes great coaches is they're hungry and willing to learn and don't think that they know it all. Unlike me when I was 23 and a head coach, I knew it all until I realized nobody wanted the job that they gave me. So
you're the only option.
The only option. I did not know that, and I had some great kids. Yeah, and we had did not have a junior. Had one senior, or one junior that played, Jeff Hooten. Funny story. So I'm in Sulphur Springs about 5 years ago, and we're warming up, and I'm looking at the referee. I'm like, something about him is familiar, kind of the way he moves. And he walks over and he says, I'm Jeff Hooten. And I said, I know who you are. I was your high school basketball coach. He said, Coach Carson, you haven't changed a bit. And I said, Jeff, you haven't either. He said, yeah, I have. I'm 53 years old. I'm like, I coach somebody that's 53 years old? So, man, but I mean, didn't know who he was, but I felt like I should know him. I only coached him for 1 year. And Jeff was he was the only junior. He was a leader. We had sophomores and freshmen, and, he did a great job. And I don't know. I often wish that you wonder where your career would be had I stayed. But the guy that hired me, for the situation being what it is, it's best for you to move on. And it was the same thing in Leonard. I had a superintendent, Mr. Tucker, and a principal, Mr. London, that my JV was awesome. And my wife gets in the doctoral program at A&M, I'm like, man, you stay there. I'm going to stay here one more year. I go, 1 more year. I've only been married 2 years.
Yeah, don't do that.
One more year. And they called me and said, no, we will not let you stay here one more year. You need to wake up and go, and, which was the right thing. I don't know what I was thinking about,
It's good to have people in your life that can help you make those decisions like that.
Exactly. And one of those guys, I kind of left Lynn Marshall, last time I looked, was working over at Longview. He's not coaching anymore. He's some kind of administrator over there. But and from Lynn, he used to put a practice plan on the board, and I'd write it down on an index card, and I didn't know anything about football.
Mm-hmm.
So I would write down what I needed to do against even fronts and odd fronts. And the kids would say, who do I block? I'd get my card out here because I was the JV coach or the sub-varsity coach, and we didn't have, it was a small school, so I'd go out there and have to do half alliance. All right, half the guys be on offense, half the guys be on defense. I'm trying to coach both, and I'm working my tail off. And but he was as far as organization goes, great guy to work for. Because my first year, I just go out there with, writing this, but he was detailed in the stuff that went out there, and having to grade film, like I coach linebackers, right? What is their first step? I have to go through and grade it, and we spent a lot of time up there. But we also, I didn't have a lot to do with it, took a program that was not successful, and I think we went 7-3, and unfortunately ended up in a 3-way tie for second place, and they only took 2 teams, and they flipped a coin, and the first coin flip, our coin rolled behind the door. So it was Caddo Mills and Cooper. I think they were both heads, and ours rolled behind the door. So we got a chance. Ours was head too. And so on the second flip, I think Caddo Mills won the flip, and they got to go to the playoffs. So,
wow. Well, just hearing you talk about your journey, Coach, I will consider it to be hugely successful. Let's touch base on success. What is your definition of success?
There's a lot of people who have a lot of different definitions. And I think doing what has to be done, when it needs to be done, doing it to the best of your ability, doing it that way every time, I think that's success. I don't think we need to talk about winning and losing. That kind of takes care of itself. I felt like against San Antonio Cole, we played as well as we possibly could. I think we were successful in our game plan. We were not successful on the scoreboard necessarily, but I don't know that those kids, outmatched by the future Hall of Famer, could have done any better. So that's in order for this to be a successful interview or podcast, then I think if we're both doing the best we can, then it should be, we can consider it a success. I mean, I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for. That's just what.
Oh, I love it. I love it,
I've
Coach.
always,
And to me, it comes across as it's in the process. The details are in the process, and being a former player, to me that was the MO. Like, do the minor details the right way. Period. Be disciplined about being on point with what you're supposed to do, and just like you said, the wins, all the other stuff, that's gonna come.
It is.
If you focus in on doing what you're supposed to do every moment of every day. And so I love that. I love that. But I think the next thing is, today, this is your retirement day. What are a couple of reflections you have on retirement? Like, what are some thoughts that you have about today?
I never thought this day would come. All I've ever wanted to do was be a high school basketball coach. Like I said earlier, I just figured I'd just coach till I was 30, or 70. And but I'm excited. I look back over my career, and I've got to be in contact with so many wonderful kids and so many outstanding coaches that have become friends, that it's been an incredible journey. And I get to the point where, I call people coach that aren't coaches. Like, that's right, coach. Like I only have 2 or 3 friends that are not coaches. So I mean, so I remember telling my coach sometimes, I love coach. Oh, no, wait, don't, Tracy. So I mean, seriously, I don't have a bunch of, I don't have any friends around the education business. I don't think, and I have very few that are not coaches. And what I'm going to miss the most is being around coaches, and just they're the best people in the world. Some of my best friends, and just sitting around, just chitter chat, just make coach talk. In the stands at summer league games, you see somebody, and as competitive as we are, most of the coaches I know off the court, will sit down and visit with you like it's now it may be cutthroat. You know, I've had some battles. Used to battle Navasota. I think Mike Dacus over there is one of the nicest guys I ever met, and I see his son is the athletic director over there.
Yes, sir.
And I remember when Casey was playing over there.
Playing, yep. That's we're around the same age.
And Mike was, I always thought he was a pleasant guy, and we went round and round. Yeah. And but I mean, most of the coaches I know, it's like when the buzzer sounds, it's over with, and you can sit there, and I'm good friends with the guy over at Tatum, Brett Carr. We've had some battles over the years, and as soon as the game's over with, we can sit there and dissect it. Well, I should have done this, or could have done that, and I mean, just a great guy, and it's just been my I've been fortunate enough to just a bunch of those guys in my life, and to pick and choose, steal things from them, but we're all in this profession because we love kids. I don't think anybody is in here for the wins and the losses, but I mean, I will miss that. I don't want to be that old coach that hangs around in the gym finding young coaches and trying to tell them, I'm an old coach, and back in the day, I just, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I've seen those guys.
Yeah.
I just, I think, an example, my dad, when he quit or when he retired, he said, "Don't call me. I'm not going to substitute teach. I'm not going to come coach part-time. I'm walking away from this." And he became an upholsterer for the next 10 years.
Wow.
And of course, he's like, well, I like those. Nobody tells me I'll be tripping or, I said, and I can just picture he and another guy about his age working in an unair-conditioned shop. Both of them are hard of hearing and ceiling fans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I bet they don't say a word to each other all day long.
Can't hear nothing.
They can't hear nothing, But I just, that's, it's hard because this has been home for 17 years. And I know Coach McCowan, who's from here, that has been hard to take my spot, and I'd kind of like to, but I don't know that I can sneak in and watch a ball game. I might need to take a year off or so.
Yeah.
And of course, things are podcasted and, closed circuit TV. So I always am going to wish this is a special place. And I always wished her the best after I left because, Coach Lynn came in and took my spot. And, I want nothing. I like Kim. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
And, and I'm not one of those. I don't need for somebody else to do poorly to make myself feel better. I want you to succeed.
Right.
I want Jack to succeed.
We can all
I want Coach
win.
King to succeed. I want everybody to succeed.
Yeah.
In this business, I think everybody can succeed. Not everybody can be successful on the scoreboard necessarily, but I don't need somebody to do badly and make myself feel good. That makes me a sorry excuse for a human being. Look, he sucks. I feel so good about myself. No, it's like my son. He's real competitive. He wants everybody to do well. I mean, he'd be out there busting his butt on defense, and somebody make a shot in his face. Hey, great shot! Like, dude, I don't know if they,
don't do that.
No, you've gone too far with it. But he wants everybody to be. Say, damn, Dad, wasn't that a good shot? And yeah, it was. But don't make him feel too good about it. But I mean, I hope he learned that from me that everybody to do well. It doesn't mean in the playoffs that you don't like. Well, the next opponent could be of these two. I might rather play this one.
Yep. Yes, sir.
But usually that doesn't work out. You get the team that you want, and they beat you behind anyway. Like, well, it just has a way of working out. But I do want everybody to be successful, and I certainly don't want Coach McCowan to do poorly. It's like, we need Coach Carson back because when Coach Carson's time has come and gone. It's Dwight's turn, and I want him to do well. Just like when Earl, or actually was when the coach that left here. He didn't wish me poorly. I've had enough. It's somebody else's turn.
Yeah.
And I just would like to see Marshall do well because I still know the kids that are here, and Jack is still the athletic director, Dr. Langley is still the superintendent. Mr. Gregory is still the principal, and I like them, think the world of them. Great administration. So we all know that when the football team wins, there are less problems in the school district. So if Jack wins, Dr. Langley's happy, Mr. Gregory's happy,
We all
the community's
win.
happy.
Yeah.
You know, when I took this job, there was a guy that going to school here. His name was Skeets Jernigan,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a legend. He got COVID and passed away.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he would be a one to like, Skeets, this kid's not out for football. Go to his house and find out what the problem is. You know, and he was our team pastor for a couple, ride on the bus with us. And I remember when I got hired, Rodney Southern said, you need to go meet Brian Partee at the Boys and Girls Club, and you need to go meet Skeets and introduce yourself. So I introduced myself, Brian, and found Skeets was walking the track. And I said, you Carson, new basketball coach. You'll never get fired for losing around here because nobody cares about hoops. I said, well, Skeets, I should get fired if we don't win. And I always reminded him of that when we set the record for 31 wins in a season. He was, you know, with us on the bus. I said, you remember telling me? He said, no.
You had to remind him.
I had to remind him. But I miss
good.
him. I miss him all the time.
Yeah.
I can remember over at Pine Tree, we were not getting a favorable whistle from the officials. And I was a little irate. And I can remember him, this great big old man.
Uh-huh.
Hey, you coach, I take care of them. That's all right. So
We can do
he
that.
did. But I remember over at Hallsville for a football game, David Plunk was the football coach.
Mm-hmm.
And Skeets is he's so loud. And everybody knows him. So Plunk is walking down the field and he's like, hey Plunk, we're gonna whoop y'all. Oh, walk away from me, Plunk. I know you can hear me, Plunk. Plunk, turn around. I know you can. I'm just laughing. And everybody stands is down laughing. I'm looking at David Plunk is about to fall over. He's laughing. So he wasn't going to turn around, but he was tickled. I'm just,
That's funny.
Just miss guys like that.
Yeah.
Skeet would walk in the summer. He was a pastor.
Mm.
He says, I got a suit hanging on my bedroom door. He said, my goal is to get into that suit. They up here walking every day. I never did find out whether he got in that suit or not. It just seemed like he was getting bigger and bigger.
Oh,
when I first came, we played 3-on-3. And he'd stand right underneath the basket and he'd never move. You know, I got pretty good exercise. I was like, thanks, Skeet, you never move. You know,
you ain't took no steps, man.
You're not sweating, you know. But they had his funeral out here at the football field.
Mm.
That was a tough one. He meant so much to so many people. He touched so many kids' lives.
Yeah.
Like again, you know, why isn't he here? Go find out why.
Yeah.
Go get him up here. Go talk to him and get him back. He's walked off. You know, just having that steadying influence.
Yeah.
And I mean, you talk about bleed Maverick red. In every single sport, boys, girls, he loved it all.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's hit on because you know you've 40 years.
You don't have to say it like that.
No. I think it's Coach. It's amazing.
I only look like I'm 32, right? How have I been coaching?
23, Coach.
There we go.
I'm gonna give you 23.
There
I'm not
we
gonna
go.
go 32.
There
I'm
we
gonna give
go.
you look like 23. But amazing coaching years. What are some tips? Couple tips that you may have for coaches coming up in the profession.
First thing you got to do is you got to be yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you watch other people, you go to clinics and all. You've got to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if kids are human lie detectors, you cannot BS a kid. Yeah. They see through it in a heartbeat. You've got to be yourself. You've got to be sincere. The kids have got to know that you care about them. I think, you know, especially this day and age, you know, you never know what a kid goes through when they go home. So this needs to be a place of safety and a place where they can count on you to be there. And that would be, and just, I used to work with Raphael Thomas from Lufkin, that's coaching down in Houston now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say something, just coach, just be you. Just be you. And that's, I didn't try to be Rick Pitino or Bill Self or, You know, when I first started coaching, I'm like, all right, when my high school coach would do this. Well, Indiana won national championship, so we're going to run Indiana stuff. And then the next year, Kentucky. Well, now we're going to run Kentucky stuff. We need to be doing what's best for us. You know, Indiana has Isaiah Thomas. We don't have Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
Bobby Knight can run whatever he wants to because Isaiah Thomas can make it work. You know, and so that's it. Adapt to your personnel, and then teach what you know. You know what you're comfortable with, and you know, me personally, it's been playing man-to-man defense. That's all we did when you were in high school. We didn't have a zone. We didn't. That was a 4-letter word. We didn't do anything. Played man-to-man. You guys bought in because you knew I believed in it.
Yes.
And we beat people that were better than we were because we didn't let them score.
Yeah.
And we didn't let them rebound. And we didn't let them breathe. And that coming from the Hearn community, that's what worked. Those were a bunch of tough little suckers. So, hey, you guard him. We didn't much play help side defense. You stop him, you know. And if they get by you, Roderick will block it. So don't worry about it, you know.
It was good.
Yeah. So, I mean, just get after people's tails. But selling it to make you guys, it wasn't a hard sell to get you guys to play hard. And then once we kind of got it rolling, everybody just kind of fed in. It was just what was expected to do. And but it's what I believed in. And in my whole career, I've adjusted. We've played a little bit of zone at times, but I hated it. I just like, hey, let's go man to man.
4-letter word.
Yeah, exactly. Mano a mano. Hey,
let's get it. I got you, dog.
That's it.
Let's go.
That's it. Just like at the park.
That's it. Come on. Well, you know, as we close it, I have to, Coach, ask you stories. Like is there like one story that sticks out to you from your journey that you'd like to share?
It's actually my very first year.
Okay.
So I'm in Rains High School, and I'm also the 8th grade basketball coach. So the junior high plays on Monday night. So I don't coach my first varsity game till Tuesday night. So I got my dry erase board, and I got on my wing tips and my tie, you know, and I'm coaching the 8th grade kids. And I'm making notes, and all right. So buzzer goes off, and I'm finishing making notes, and I go to the locker room. I'm going to make adjustments. And I go in the locker room. I'm Bobby Knight. I'm Rick Pitino. All rolled in. When I open that door, I go to the locker room. Ain't a soul in there. The locker room is empty. I go back out in the hall. There's nobody in the hall. I have lost my group of 8th graders. A lady walks by and says, "Are you looking for your team?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." They're all at the concession stand. They was getting them a snow cone, popcorn, a drink. You know, it's halftime.
Oh my God!
So I'm like, I'm you know, like junior high basketball. You don't tell them they're supposed to go to the locker room at halftime. They're gonna go to the concession stand. That's what you do. So every single one of them.
Oh man, that's good.
Reminds you that a grounding in reality. You know that it's just junior high basketball. I don't mean it like that because I've told junior high coaches before, don't ever tell me it's just junior high basketball, because those kids, it's the most important thing in the world. And then just junior high, it's the NBA Game 7 finals, them every night out.
Yeah. So
and that's the feeder for your high school program anyway. So my dad was a junior high coach. I had that beat into me, like, no, I want those kids, when they're out there playing in high school,
it's important.
Yeah. I like the high school coach say, hey, those kids that come from MacArthur Junior High, they already know what they need to do.
It's important.
It is.
Yes, sir. We knew that in Hearn too. It's important.
It is.
Well, as we close, Coach, I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you've done. And I'm just going to go out and say, not just for me personally, but for every athlete that you've been in contact with, every family, every community, every school district. Coach, I just want to say thank you and tell you that I love you, appreciate everything that you've done. And I wish you whatever you want for that success to be in your next journey. I wish that for you for the utmost, Coach.
Well, I appreciate Chip, and I love you too. And I've gotten a lot more out of my career that I put into it, I think. So I'm richer. I don't know if what I've left behind, but I'm a better person, and I've enjoyed it. It's not a better profession, and I've enjoyed it, the heck out of it. So, awesome. And seeing kids like you, young men now, like if I taught you one thing that's enabled you to be successful, then I'm successful too. And that's what it's all about.
Well, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for checking out this episode. We'll see you next time. God bless.
Go get it.